Alright, I was on for my crowd, everybody does it TV, so as usual. The Biada and the I do want to say in Tassa, Nyabo home was in the Yanni, one when you na, so they will take us through how on your music coin. Number PM, baby, I'm just there. Me beji, I've been check a crack, and one of few clarification be I'm just there is going to help all of us. And let me say that this interview, Baby, just to clarify so many things, I'm just there. Oboboye na senabeya, you bet case nasi. I'm sure you're already aware there. A lawyer who managed to secure injunction. I'm sometimes surprised because I was in Kumasi for the first injunction, which the judge and one granted, citing so many reasons, of course, backward cases to her point. But then for a lawyer to be able to argue for an injunction a day before the specific event, but he managed to get that injunction for the immediate family of Charles Kojo Fosu. He's the lawyer I'm come to talk to. And I'm just there after the injunction. Muhammad and Sama could be brave. I believe this is the time he has to clarify so many things. I'm just there. Obobo amiyete asemnase. Lawyer.
Adesan, a day is way the F, Papa.
Seaside Construction Limited for San.
Almost on him for.
Bra, and for a dance here once and some dear. One more Juma would say, Opa say a so diamond, and Nasa was so diarrhea, a camoswo, and Tia Brochef way, Mamma Famusika and Fabe Bia Manina Basa. Crankre, and then you make who be a mopesi some diamond. Say a school dying, sorry, and a company now person see. Seaside Construction Limited, Wahomam, a Brochef way, yes, architectural and structural designs, waterproofing, building estimates, retaining walls, fence walls, and electricals. South Pasawaya renovation. What's the wood ayadada? Nemo Mopesi a Boramuni, Siemu, a Yamunumena, Yano, and Nay Abba for Kwanswa, Yabayama.
Adesan, and here I Seaside Construction Limited for.
Yedi and Juma Wagana Fanana. Nema Mopa Yachira Kwaya, your headquarters no Ewo Kumase, Atonsu S line, Unity Oil at 1. Freya Humaiso 0536 515311. Seaside Construction Limited and now rebuild.
Lawyer, Pacho, in Wakwaba, Edward does it TV.
Yeah, that's Seminia.
You will come for Anthony Kakea.
Yeah, but to me, Dafra.
You will to me, Dafra. Now, I was at the court that very day. Now, maybe somebody, because even injunction in there answered them on beside so many reasons. They be at the cost involved, the timing, maybe other parts they will argue they be or grantor. Maybe they wouldn't be able to maybe at the corporate or work out day. But only for me to see you coming out of the courtroom granting an interview that the court has granted you the injunction. How did you manage to do that? You hear the thing?
Okay, so for such applications, just to use this opportunity to also educate the public.
Okay.
For such applications, there are two sides. There are always two sides to it.
Okay.
An injunction, this is what we call an interlocutory injunction.
Okay.
It means that you have brought your case to the court. The case aba court. Assembly to na de be na nkasa no. Court nye ndi. Afi na court obehwehwe asem no. Na emom e ka kire court ne de. Se one fa sunu wo kan den wo twi mu tabon anto ade bia oreba be kodo a ono court ni inja asem nwie no. By the time the court is done hearing the substantive matter, then Bibi ako wrong. Enti na emwie no na se court ne ma remedies bia na se court ne ma we den kan the judgment a obewi na court ne judgment no da ma no why a judgment hun empty judgment because adibia encha case na yede ba no hwehwe there
you're watching Dad's TV
and obesisi ni no no aginsem dada. That is the purpose of interlocutory injunction.
Okay.
So whenever you are bringing an application for interlocutory injunction, there are two sides. One side is that when I do case you the applicant you want to make a case that if the court doesn't grant the injunction to you and whatever it says happens at the end of the case, the judgment that you get will become useless judgments.
Okay.
So the court should grant it to you. The other side will also say that, court, if you grant it to them, we will suffer a lot of losses. We will incur damages because we have made ABCD preparation.
Okay.
So court, don't grant it to them. So there are various factors that the judges consider in determining whether they will grant the injunction or whether they will refuse.
Okay.
So in this particular case, for you to be able to get the injunction, like you created the context that it was unexpected that on the eve of the funeral,
yes,
you will get such an injunction. The only way you get an injunction, such an injunction, is that you must create a compelling case. You must make a compelling case to the court. And I believe that is what we did on the day. We sought to make a compelling case so that the court will know that there are serious issues, and yes, that's one of the factors you have to establish. There are serious issues before the court, and that if the court didn't grant it, there will be problems. Secondly, the other side's arguments that they would incur costs, they will incur losses, they have spent money, blah, 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 and so the injunction will occasion a loss. You make the argument to the court that, court, what they are talking about is money, it's cost. That can be compensated for in what we call damages. So that at the end of the matter, if it turns out that I was wrong in coming for the injunction, then the court will order that I compensate them in monetary terms what they have lost. And then we also now make the case that for us, our loss will not be capable of compensation. We were asking that the body of the late Charles Kojo should not be released.
So that was your compelling case?
Well, that was what we were asking for.
Okay.
The bit that made it compelling, I will come to it. The body should not be released because if it is released for burial, certain things cannot be done afterwards. Well, let me get into it. There was a complaint lodged to there was a petition lodged to the Ghana Police Service by the immediate family of the deceased concerning conflicting accounts about how the man died.
Okay.
Concerning autopsies that were conducted not by the immediate family and how there is so much mistrust about the circumstances under which the autopsy was conducted and also of the outcome. And that complaint has been lodged to the police. Definitely in conducting police investigation, police would want to examine these matters. Police may want to get another autopsy done. Police may want to visit the morgue and see the body. Now, once the body is buried, all these things cannot be done.
Okay.
It will make nonsense of the police investigation. And assuming, we are not saying so, but assuming that there was foul play in the death of Daddy Lumba, it means that the evidence will be forever lost. And those perpetrators involved in the foul play will be forever freed.
Okay.
Which is unjust under all circumstances. So ours was to make a compelling case, and that's what we sought to make. And especially to show to the court that if you grant the injunction, yes, they will lose money because they have hired canopies, they have paid food vendors, they have paid various suppliers. But that is money and that can be paid. So grant us the order, and in the event that we lose, then we are in the position to compensate them. So you recall that in the order that the judge made, he made what we call consequential orders. One of the consequential orders was that our clients, the immediate family, should sign an undertaking within 5 days.
5 days, okay.
And the purpose of that undertaking is that it's a bond that you are making, that if it turns out that you have wrongly injuncted the funeral and you've caused them to incur debts, then there will be what we call assessment of damages, and then you will pay the assessments, the damages that have been assessed. So that is not an order to pay money initially. It's an order that you sign undertaking. So when the damages are assessed, if later on damages are assessed, you are supposed to pay, you are you do not pay, they know what to do. They will go into execution. All the people who were there, they have property. They will go into execution against their property, so no money is lost. So that is what happened on that day. Now let me also give you the other consequential orders that were made. Because I've had, interviews granted by our opponent's counsel on the other side, that on the 15th of January, when we were supposed to come back to court, we didn't show up, and that they showed up. Well, so that the public will understand why it was unnecessary for us to show up on that day, and the court was not even expecting us to show up. That's number one. The court ordered that the Ebusuapanyin should meet with the immediate family so that they can plan the funeral rites all over again and involve the immediate family in doing so. That was one of the key orders that were made. And also, the court also ordered that the Ebusuapanyin should separate the funds obtained from the 1 week celebration from the loan that he claimed to have obtained from somebody, and lodge all of same together in the a certain company account. The court also ordered that they separate it. And then the other order was then undertaking that I told you about from the beginning. Now, having made all those orders, the court now adjourned to 15 so that we will report to the court on the meeting that the Ebusuapanyin held towards the planning of the funeral. So, 2 hours on.
Thinking there, injunction why injunct, which means that time they will have ample time to meet the family. By the time 15th months and connect means that time can be a year common year. They are still having that family.
That's discussion. The whole idea. So that by that time there'll be some meetings among the family, concrete decisions would have been made, the disquiets involving the funeral planning would have all been resolved. And we will inform the courts. The courts, because these are family issues, the courts normally likes to take the opportunity to foster some kind of settlement, put the family together. And that's what they did. That's what His Lordship did. Then we all know what happened later on that day. That 2 hours later, and I'm sure probably this is the first account that the public will be hearing.
So that
how
because
things turned around.
Because the narrative out there is that you shouldn't have shown up. You shouldn't. So I want you to take your time to explain that part to us. Because people claim, say you're watching
Dadzi TV.
But then what for a coy nadi. When if we banana take your time, nature tree, we will have run on you. We just did before happen at there. We're there.
So we are done with court. We've done media interviews. We've gotten into our car. We're on the way back to our office.
So legal representatives be on court.
Let me narrate.
You're watching
on the way,
Dadzi TV.
Almost approaching our office. Then I receive a call from the registrar of the court saying that the judge wants to meet the lawyers in the case. That's exactly what he said. Oh, the judge, you were the one who were involved in this matter. Oh, the judge wants to meet the lawyers involved in the case. So can you please come back? I said, okay. When judges invite you to meetings, it is not a summons to come back to court. So the judge wants to meet. It could be for various reasons. It could be maybe the date that was taken initially, maybe we found out that maybe the judge will not be available for whatever reason. Or it could be that, the judge wants to admonish counsel about interviews in the media and all of that. It could be any of these things. So when you get a call that the judge wants to meet you, nothing comes to mind that maybe the judge wants to vary the orders he made. It didn't come to mind at all. So, I mean, even though initially you'll be curious, you're wondering, what could be the reason why the judge is inviting the lawyers back? And in fact, the reason why you wouldn't even imagine what happened is that if the judge was minded to vary his orders, that will not be the way to summon the lawyers alone. No. There should be hearing notice to parties, because the case is not the case. The case does not belong to the lawyers. The lawyer is acting on behalf of his client. So a lawyer cannot go to court on a court summons, on a hearing, without the knowledge of the clients, the parties in the case. So it was absolutely, it absolutely did not cross our minds that something of the sort was going to happen. So we went, okay, out of respect, judge wants to meet the lawyers. We go. So, we are waiting for a lawyer for car bank. We are waiting for a lawyer for, as for the Busuapini's lawyer, when we went, he was already there in the court waiting, right? So once all the other lawyers came, we were even thinking that we were going to be asked to meet the lawyer in his chambers. Because when he's meeting all the lawyers, it could be for other reasons. Then suddenly I hear court rise. Then the judge comes to sit and says case recall. Then they mention as if the parties have been summoned to court, which is extremely irregular. So no. Cases can be recalled. Yes, a case can be recalled. Normally, the circumstance in which cases are recalled is, for example, maybe the case was stood down. Maybe we came earlier, and then the case was, for some reason, we say, one of the lawyers has to appear before Court of Appeal, so he will be late. So he has requested for the case to be stood down, which means the time should be moved a little bit forward. Okay. So that one, when that time comes, the case will be recalled. So there are a few circumstances when that can happen. But all of that, before that case will be recalled, it means that at the time the case was being stood down, the parties were in court and they knew. But here, you just hear in case recall, and then straight away, the judge proceeds to state that he's decided to vary the orders he made relating to the injunction. And then he goes on. Then naturally I rise and say, my Lord, we were invited here that you wanted to meet the lawyers. The parties, the case belongs to the parties. Case no here, one case. Case no here, one case. And they are not here. And they've all left. And so I made the submission to the judge that I did not think that the court had the jurisdiction to vary the orders. But, I made all the submissions I could think of, but the judge says that his orders stand, that the immediate family should deposit 2 million cedis by 2 p.m. And at the time we were speaking, I kept on looking at the clock. I was telling my Lord, the clock is ticking, and the parties, my clients don't even know that I have been invited back here. By the time we were leaving, it was 12:30, so practically you had 1.5 hours to make that payment. It's practically impossible. So I had to step out and call my client and say that I believe that the court, courts, it's human beings who preside over courts. They can make errors. That's why the appellate courts is there. Okay. So the fact that something didn't go well, we don't impute anything to a judge, no. But we can say that there's an error, that the court had made an error. So we said that, well, I told my clients, look, I think the court has made an error, in my view, but you don't have time. So if you believe you can raise the money, start now, do so immediately. What is important is to secure the injunction. You can complain later.
Okay.
Act now, complain later. I told them. So actually, I think they even made the effort. They started seeing how they can raise the money. But then the challenge is that you have to, when you want to do, the court does not take cash. See what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Court does not accept cash. So you have to do what we call banker's draft. So you have to write your check to your bank, go to your bank. The bank will go through processes to print a banker's draft. You can't do that in 1.5 hours. You can't do that in 1.5 hours. Because if it's a matter of you And nobody even keeps 2 million Ghana cedis on them
that's
at
the
home.
narrative
So
out
even
there.
if you could pay cash, you have to still go to the bank to withdraw. And the courts don't even pay you that kind of amount in cash. So it's bankrupt. You have to go through processes. So it was the impression we got was that maybe and you see the court said that failure to pay by 2 p.m.
You're watching
the
Dadzi
order
TV.
is vacated.
All the orders.
Yes, the other orders, they are all consequential. They are riding on the back of the order of injunction. And to say if the order of injunction is vacated, everything else falls away. So when now counsel on the other side grants you guys interview and tell you that we came to court. Court said we should come on 15 to report. We have come, they didn't come. Well, the order based upon which the case was adjourned has been vacated. So there is nothing to report on. Ask yourself, was there a meeting after the funeral? Did the Ebusuapeni now invite the immediate family for a meeting to plan the funeral? No. So what are we coming to report on?
the 15th.
There's nothing.
Oh, okay.
So what happens then is that the case takes its normal course because the case was at pleading stage. When we say pleadings, starting litigation, and you start with a writ of summons and then your statement of claim that you file together. The other side will file their statement of defense, which they did file.
Okay.
If you have an application, you make the application on the back of your written statement of claim, which we did. The application effectively was granted but later taken back from us. So the case still at the pleading stage. We can now decide to file a reply to the statement of defense, and then we only come back to court when there's an application, typically what we call application for directions. We come back to court for us to plan with the court and the other parties how the case will be conducted. We do CMC. The court make orders for filing of witness statements, and then we do CMC, what we call case management conference. So that's what we expect, but not to show up when we show up on 15th. What are you going to do? There's nothing to do. So I thought it was a bit disingenuous on the part of my learned friend for him to say, oh, we've showed up, they didn't come. No. There was no reason to show up. And the court wasn't even expecting us to show up because the purpose for showing up was for us to brief the court on the meeting, held between Ebusuapeni and the immediate family towards the funeral, which they had then conducted, and they had buried the deceased. And with it, buried any potential evidence of, foul play. That's it. So I guess you understand now.
Yes, I get it now. Wow. So now, if I'm a police for reporter, what kind of war start one investigation? As a lawyer, that very day, what about testify now? Was there any other document? What the better there was?
No, the case that we were doing, the police themselves were not involved at that stage.
Okay.
When you report a matter to the police or when you submit a petition to the police will do their initial investigation. Now, if they get to the point where they see merit in your petition, that's when they themselves now begin to act.
Okay.
So, Ernestina Fosu and the others had lodged a complaint to the police to investigate the circumstances surrounding the death and the conflicting reports and everything. The police had started their work. They'd taken statements from our clients, and they had invited the Ebusuapeni and the other parties to give statements also. The next thing, they want to see the body. The next thing, they want to conduct another autopsy. But they haven't gotten to the point where they see the evidence. Once they begin to see evidence of foul play, they themselves will take over. I mean, it is not even you who acts. So we as complainants, the immediate family, we had gone to court and said, what is the rush with the funeral? Hold on. Because police has commenced investigation. But remember, that was not the only reason why we went to the court. That's just one of them.
Okay.
One of the grounds also was that customarily it is the immediate family who has the responsibility to conduct the burial with the support or with the in consultation with the wider family. So we're not saying that the wider family didn't have any role to play, because the law is clear that the immediate responsibility is on the immediate maternal family. And that immediate maternal family had a head of family. They had a head of family who was one of the plaintiffs. Exactly. And so it is his responsibility, but he does so in consultation with the wider family, right? And so, but in this case, it had been turned over. Rather, the wider family is leading with everything, and he's not even listening to them. In fact, only the crown or input Christ different. He's not even listening to them. And you'd see that bank account that they had opened, the car bank account. None of the family members were signatories to the bank account. All of them were outside the family. The Busuapenyi was one of them. He was, in fact, no, the company, let me even put it this way, the company that they had formed, that they said, oh, it's a company they had formed to blah, 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 blah. That company, when you check the membership of the company and the directorship were the same. No immediate family member was a member or a director of the company. It's the Busuapenyi one, then Priscilla Ofori Odobroni was a member of the company. Then who else do we have? We had Akunta, who's a member of the company. And a few other people who are not even connected to the spouses. But you see, this case, remember, this case we are talking about, it's not Akosua Sewer's case.
It's the immediate family.
It's the immediate family.
Yeah.
So somebody will say, oh, but Akosua Sewer's brother, the Akunta I mentioned, was one of the directors. But that is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the immediate family. Lumba, Owenuanom, Ninuanom, Ernestina, Onyi Eyinido. All the other siblings, Obi Ankang, the immediate Busuapenyi Yakupoku Onkang. The immediate family were not part of that company at all. So if you were in court that day, you see that I mentioned to the court the people who are member director of the company and who they were. Not a single of one of them. And these are the people who were meeting, planning the funeral, and not listening to our clients, the immediate family, and holding the funds that was raised at the 1 week.
1 week.
So, if the immediate family, you can, your guess is as good as mine. If you think the immediate family did not have a right to complain, I think they did.
And I must take this opportunity to congratulate you. You did a marvelously well, because some of us, you have been going to court, and for sometimes, judges in one for them to grant you that interlocutory injunction. So you have to go beyond, fight out, making sure that make your case no more who indeed or there or they will not. But question amount will be signed there. Now concerning the amount of money Busuapenyi quoted the car born in 2 million Ghana. I'm told that they even quoted 5 million, and then they have to. Is that one also true?
Yes. So when we were in the court, there are a number of things happened that are a bit worrying. Me when we went back, were called back. Busuapenyi or his lawyer did not say anything. This first comment came from the judge.
Not even their counsel to even be on his feet to say something.
I have decided that I will vary the orders I've made. What's led to that later decision is unknown to me. Right? People have their own speculations. I, as a lawyer, can't make those speculations.
Oh, yes.
But after the judge said what he would say, I rose to my feet and made a submission that I didn't think the judge had the jurisdiction to vary, even though courts have power to vary their interlocutory orders. The parties have to be properly summoned to court. That is when the court now has the jurisdiction to effect that variation he wants to. So I complained about that. I made a submission. And in reaction to that submission, that was then that my learned friend on the other side now comes to say that they are even not happy with the 2 million Ghana cedis, and that they think that the judge should access to deposit 5 million Ghana cedis. So that is when that 5 million issue came.
Okay.
But for me, it's not about the amount of money. It's about, did the court have, courts, when we use the word jurisdiction, we are talking about powers that have been given to courts by the law. Every judge's power is given to him by the law. High court, district court, wherever, the Constitution and the Courts Act. So, and then of course, there are decided cases. So the question is that how a court should be called? A party summoned to court. Can a case be heard in the absence of the parties of the matter? On that day, when we were called back, or when I was asked to come and that the judge wants to see the lawyers, my clients didn't know, they couldn't come with me. But the Busunya Penny's representative was there with their lawyer.
The lawyer.
They were there. So, I mean, we were disappointed. Yeah, so that's all we can say. We're disappointed in the tenor of events. Yeah.
So, the question that the BMP so in matter relating to this case, subsequently, can you quote any other figure there? Probably this is how much I think my income or
no, good. Thank you for asking that question. I recall around that time, my learned friend on the other side, again, that day, he gave interview saying that, they said they want an injunction, and we have incurred cost. So the court said they should give us 2 million Ghana cedis so that we can go and pay the debt. But that's not what the court said, and that's what not even the meaning. When the court, you see, the court in the morning had asked us to sign an undertaking within 5 days.
Okay.
Right? So it is in place of that undertaking that he now says that to give better security, instead of the undertaking, pay 2 million Ghana cedis into court. So the money is not to be paid to the Busunya Penny at all.
Okay.
The money is to be paid to court. And when that money is paid to court, the Busunya Penny will not have access to that money. Do you know the time he could have access to maybe part of the money? After we have conducted the case, we've gone through the merits of the case, and the court has now given his final judgment and found that we were not entitled to the orders we sought. So by coming to court for orders that we were not entitled to, we have caused them to incur loss. Then at that point, do you know what will happen? The court will order for assessment of damages. Okay. So Busunya Penny and your people come and show us your loss. Yes, okay. Or say because of the injunction. Where is the proof? Where is the receipts? So Busunya Penny will now come with maybe evidence of payment, receipts from suppliers, blah blah blah. So, and some of it may be even rejected. So how much of it they are able to establish, then the court will order that the defendant should pay damages of so and so and so and so amount. You see what I'm talking about? So then most likely that amount will not even be half of the 2 million that we were supposed to put in court. Maybe it will be up to maybe 500,000, 600,000. Then we say that, okay, so you are ordered to be paid from the money that the defendant paid into court. Well, we are what they want to say now. So it was not as if the impression that was being created that the
Waboka 2 million.
Wabo County court say, "Yamfa 2 million brewon." No one from Kutia suppliers. No, it's not like that.
In that damn statement alone, what created that confusion out there? What's the 2 million a year? 2 million, what's a car about 2 million in
at all. It doesn't mean that. You know, when parties go to court, sometimes you can even go to court, apply for order for security for cost. The court will make an order. Nimpa no de ba court no. Ontu as cabin to court. Mo be ya da achi ye assembly we na awo na de emba court no. Especially those orders are made for plaintiffs who are not even resident in Ghana. Ebia defendant no hwehwe wan akọ jene kawa.
Okay.
Normally those orders no way. And then typically for intellectual property cases, and those orders no way, then you pay money to courts.
Because the narrative out there, you know, we are paying us for over 2 million Ghana cedis. Inti, oh yeah, to the back and now,
approve them
so now you can go to court and tell the court that I've incurred 5 million Ghana without authenticating those payments.
No.
Because after the injunction,
the judge made was for us to pay the money to court. And it will sit in court. Until the final determination of the matter, when the court sees, or if the court sees that our case did not have merits and that we have disrupted the funeral for nothing, then the court will award damages against us based on what they were able to prove with receipts in court. Then based on that, the court will award damages against us. And then they can fall on the money which was a security. They can fall on it to pay the cost they claim to have incurred. And not necessarily even go to take all the money. That might even take just a portion of the money. And then the plaintiffs, you can go for your change.
Wow.
That's how
lawyer,
it works.
But that's because the last I was even asking myself, the maintain about the callback account, because I think there was some money already existing money. Abusia paying was Abusia force or the Nessa or to schedule no. So in a nutshell,
that aspect of the case is still pending before the court. Because there was that aspect of the case that was calling for accounts.
Okay.
For accounts. That 1 week. Process or in our account. And you are not being accountable, and all we see that you are making withdrawals after withdrawals, and you are not accounting.
Wow.
So that part of the case, the other part of the case, which is that we were seeking ultimately for another, that it is the immediate family that have the responsibility and the right to plan and organize the funeral of that Lumba. Those were the final orders that we were seeking, right?
Yeah.
Now that funeral has been conducted. So in law, we say that those reliefs that we were seeking, they have become moot.
Okay.
Right. And then there's judicial authority for when courts will answer moot questions. It's not every time that the court will answer moot questions. When a matter is moot, the court will only pronounce on it if it is capable of recurring. Then the court will still pronounce on it. But if it's not capable of recurring, then the court will say that question is moot. But notwithstanding, there are still questions before the court in that case that are not moot. When it comes to accounts can never be moot.
Okay.
If we know we see, whether no crazy whether the Ebusia penny is obligated to account to the immediate family or not. That question still remains pending before the court.
2 million a check analysis here, but Brian over there. And I said, time across there be a court and they be a mechanic on your judge or your court, and I'm one. So one by judgment is say court and be referred to. Court and indeed is an compare injunction or court. I be to more space kakra. So I think we on Friday. Thank you. Monday, move first Caribbean farmer. But damn, almost 1 hour 30 minutes to raise 2 million Ghana cedis. No, we are kaka. You as a lawyer, now the you can't be the jurisdiction of the court. Into Damadi Wotum say, is there any other way that probably you want to further prove there? Court to take a down decision. Is there anything that you can
see
also
when
do?
things they happen that way, in the manner in which those things happen? My clients were in shock. And we're like, what we wanted to prevent, because that was the key.
You're watching Dadzi TV.
Hold off the funeral so that they can be part of the planning of the funeral. Okay. Secondly, so that necessary police investigations can go on. You remember the reason why Ernestina Fosu went to swear Otumfuo Ntam Kese?
Yeah.
It was about the causes of death. That was the reason. What say Okan Otumfuo Ntam Kese say ebusuan panyin koso sie efun na ni nuano na wa makwan ma ye hu die ku ni nuano a. And that was the reason. And then when I'm on 20 criminal police headquarters. See. So when things happen the way it did, you're in shock. So as for we lawyers, we act on the instructions of our clients. I mean, if we wanted to probe into it, what you could do is either you do an appeal against the variation, but that will also be a moot question.
Because Nimpana is involved.
By the time your notice of appeal gets filed, the man is already buried, and the court can decide to pronounce. The Court of Appeal can decide to pronounce on whether or not the High Court had the jurisdiction to vary the orders after he had risen in the morning. He had discharged the parties to call back only lawyers without the parties, without summoning the parties to court by the proper way, which is by way of hearing notice. Even when you issue hearing notice, you have to observe 3 clear days. That's what our rules say, 3 clear days. So we couldn't have come back to court that same day. So whether what the variation order that the judge made was an error, he could have gone to the Court of Appeal about it. But then the Court of Appeal will say that it's a moot question. But they will decide whether they will answer that moot question. And that is whether or not it can occur again. And the answer, your guess is as good as mine. The man will not be buried the second time for that to happen again.
Yeah.
They will likely say that it cannot
so
occur.
Now we
so
can
it's a
say
moot
that
question.
Investigation crisis. Okay, but I think that will be a question for the Ghana police.
That will be a question for the Ghana, and not just the Ghana. The complainants have an interest in the investigation.
So
they are entitled to follow up and say, well, we brought a complaint to you. How far have we gone? They are entitled to ask. But, well, it is what it is.
In fact, the amount for about the part of the party to Ibuama was secure injunction. And to be honest, right after granting the interview, the excitement among Jipa, because we did there, they wanted to have that ample time. Although now there's a faction between the two, at least through that movement.
And even the parties, some of the parties had been in court.
Yeah.
And so the feeling was that, we just finished with court. Why don't we do some form of reconciliation so that we can bring everybody on board, and then we give the legend a befitting burial. But, well, it is what it is.
And I'm very happy that you have taken the opportunity to educate us, especially with the 2 million Ghana cedis part. And I'm just there, baby, now, so to be honest, I mean, I can into court, you're watching
Dadzi TV.
I can easily quote any other figure. If you don't bring it, maybe I don't have the ban cramp or not knowing that it should even be a banker's draft. But because I also because
typically cry is just an undertaking. That's the usual one. That's what the judge ordered in the morning. Yeah, because I think the judge did a very good job in the morning. I may answer what happened later. In my view, it's not contempt to say that a judge made an error. But what happened in the morning was excellent ruling. The ruling itself was excellent. Very, very good balanced ruling. But what happened later on, which I consider to be an error, but I thought that the judge did a yeoman's job in the morning. Well, someone will say because it went my way, I'll say the judge did a good job in the morning. But I mean, at the end of the day, what did we see? Isn't there a vindication that, we should have taken our time?
Yeah.
What did we see? The commentary you've heard about the funeral.
Yes.
Yeah,
so that's why I'm saying that is it the 2 million?
Clearly.
Because your colleague said that Yabo Katum from Mitia. Oman farmer made to an alcohol, so we expect that at least you put up 2 million show funeral. Na man for
Clearly. I mean, it's not even about the money. I know people commented about the thing that the grandeur, the events was not as grandiose as it should be, befitting of someone
even
like
the 1 week,
Lumba.
to be honest.
But for me, even beyond that, it's about people who should be present at such a funeral, right? People don't fly, people overseas cannot fly overnight to a funeral, right? So you take our time. There are people who have to seek permission from their jobs, to fly for the funeral. Even within our country, there should be certainty, because the people who are organizing the funeral are the family. And if there is division in the family about when the funeral is going to be held, the general public are also confused. So I can say maybe half of the people you should have expected at the funeral did not show up. Is that what we want? No. So what would it have? I just thought that if Cool Health had been free, if Ebusuapeni had been more accommodating, I think Ebusuapeni must have a large heart, accommodate people, resolve issues. When someone passes, we see nature some and sana we see him. Needs America acquire barrier. Say, well, that's my personal view. I think that it didn't go well. I think many people also agree with me.
Lawyer, with the Mefa Queen within my Dawasipa, there any opportunity now. I don't take this opportunity for granted, because to spend almost about 40 minutes of your time to educate us on this specific case. Now, answer number one, your final word to Ghanaians, especially this case no Ben.
And you are the only person I've spoken to since that day after the injunction was overturned. I have not spoken to any media except you. You are really privileged.
Thank you, and I don't take it for granted. Thank you so much.
Oh, but it's a pleasure,
for giving me that opportunity. Your final word to Ghanaians, and first of all, before you go ahead, our judicial system and how, because you lawyers also have a role to play to make sure that people have belief and trust in the judicial system, looking at the jurisdiction of the court to vary its own orders. Man for one task, now you could one can start to come into so called baby. I'm sure you don't have because you are a lawyer. So
no. I mean, the thing is, I think that people should have faith in the courts. Okay. There are, you see, the court system is organized such that when there's a grievance, when you are aggrieved at one level, you can always seek redress by way of appeal. By way of judicial review and all of that. Except that there are situations when they are lost for good, like what happened in our case.
You don't have any limit,
But then I wouldn't say without the courts we will be living in chaos. So from time to time things go, in my view, wrong from time to time. But it's not the reason to throw away the baby with the bathwater, as they say. So I think that we should have faith in the court. It's better for you to ventilate your grievances in court than to resort to self-help. When you do that, we'll all be living in a chaotic society. You understand? Yeah.
So, final word to Ghanaians?
Yes. So what I just said could pass for final words. In spite of everything that happened, still have faith, first of all, in God. Have faith that even though our court system, our justice system, they are a human institution, so there could be errors. But even the laws have provided for an opportunities to have such errors corrected by having appeal systems, by having the supervision by the Superior Court. Supreme Court has provided supervisory jurisdiction over High Court and all of that. So there's opportunities for some of the errors that are correctable to be corrected. So it's people should not lose confidence in the court system in spite of some of these things that happen from time to time. They should recognize that it's a human institution, and in every human institution there could be errors one time or the other. So let's leave it at that. Yeah.
Lawyer, Meda was super brave any opportunity na achichirim dama. Ebusanfo, manka sami kromi abetina name. Achichirim matro. Today we all learned something from this, and thank you very much for watching. And this interview was brought to you by Seaside Construction Limited. And today is done. I did think we want to do is innovate everything. Yeah, make sure that you put the number on your screen and then talk to them and use. And once again, lawyer, thank you. God bless you for this wonderful opportunity. And we hope to come here some other time for an exclusive interview.
Of course.
And I want to be back and we talk about LA, we talk about the will, a little bit of education to pro bono education.
Why not? Anything to help the public, understand the law better and know their rights. Why not?
All right. Let me ask you. Okay, bye.
Bye. Adesan, edan ye siwe die efe papa.
Seaside Construction Limited for nsan.
Domo so ne hinfo.
Bra, fa adansie ho nsensam de wonu madwuma ho tse. Opese ye se wo dan ma. Anasa wasi wo dan awie aka moso. Enti abrochirefo yi, mamo mfa musika ne mfa ba bia ma ne nye basa. Ankrankre, ene nyumaku bia mo pese ye se mu dan ma mo. Say ye school dan nsore ana company na opese wo sia. Seaside Construction Limited wo ho mamo. Abrochirefo yi, so your architectural and structural designs, waterproofing, building estimates, retaining walls, fence walls, and electricals. So person we renovation. Once we die ayadada. Ne mo person ye bowra mu ne asiesie mu. Eye monuma nyina ye no enne abafo kwanso a ye be yama.
Adesan, ehin na mehu Seaside Construction Limited for.
Ye di anjuma wo Ghana fana nyina. Ne mo pa ye kira kwan a ye headquarters no e wo Kumasi. Atonso S line, Unity Oil echi wonwa. Freya wa humaiso 0536 515311. Seaside Construction Limited and now rebuild.